up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in today I'm going to be giving a full in-depth review of my favorite roller coaster on the planet, Velocicoaster. Velocicoaster is a Intamin multi-launch roller coaster located at Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. This ride is the perfect mix between theming and intensity, and that is why I believe that this is the best roller coaster in the entire world. Before I talk about my own personal experience with this ride, I want to give you guys a rundown on the statistics of this ride. As I said before, Velocicoaster is an Intamin multi-launch located at Universal's Islands of Adventure. Some other rides of a similar model could be Terran at Phantasialand or Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Velocicoaster has been operating since the 10th of June 2021. Velocicoaster reaches a max height of 155 feet at the top of its massive top hat. It also reaches its max speed of 70 miles an hour at the second launch, which is a booster that leads right into the massive top hat. Velocicoaster includes 4 different inversions in its ride course, including an Immelman, dive loop, a stall, and the famous Mosasaurus roll, which is basically a barrel roll that suspends you over the water. Velocicoaster has a total length of 4,700 feet. As I said before, this ride is not only just famous for its intense and fun elements, but also the amazing Jurassic Park theming of this ride. So now I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough of the queue and the story of the ride. Start off your experience on Velocicoaster by entering Islands of Adventure and going to the Jurassic Park section of the park. There are 2 ways to get to this park, and one is by crossing a bridge that leads into the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, or the other is by entering over by the Kong ride. As soon as you enter this section of the park, you are immediately immersed into the wonderful theming. Next up, you enter the Velocicoaster Plaza. This is one of the, if not the most visually stunning places in any amusement park ever. The roller coaster flies all around you and also goes down its biggest drop with the massive top hat right over the entrance of the ride. After watching this ride's beautiful trains fly throughout, you test out the test seat and then enter the queue. The queue starts off with a bunch of overflow queue to the left. I never had to wait out there, but I'll talk about my own experience later in the video. After you go through the overflow queue, you enter the main queue of the ride. This involves multiple switchbacks with the main piece of a massive dinosaur sculpture in the middle. This is one of the most impressive parts of this queue, but there are many highlights in each room of this line. The next room you enter is basically a hallway with one of the coolest features that I've ever seen. There are windows that line one edge of the hallway, which show a live video of the roller coaster passing through the second launch with a bunch of Velociraptors chasing the coaster car. This is one of the craziest pieces of theming that I've ever seen, and it is absolutely amazing. The next room that you enter contains a lot of different props related to the ride and the movies. Also, at the exit of this section, there is a feed that shows you where the coaster cars are located on the course at that time. This next room contains 2 animatronic Velociraptors that are held by a strong metal contraption. They look as if they are fighting to escape their imprisonment. However, they can't, and they also are breathing very heavy, which releases a breath of air onto the people walking by in the line. There's also 2 empty holders where it looks like they're supposed to be Velociraptors that escaped. After this room, you put all your belongings into a locker and go through metal detections. Once you are cleared through the metal detectors, you walk upstairs into a big showroom with a very large screen that shows you what the story behind the ride is. The story behind this ride is that you are taking a trip into the Velociraptor's paddock in these futuristic cars. In this showroom, the main characters from the movies argue with each other over how it is not safe that people are going in with these Velociraptors. This leads you right into the station where you board the trains. These trains are extremely comfortable as they only have the pull-down restraints with no seatbelts. There are 4 trains with 6 cars per train and with 4 riders per car, which is a total total of 24 riders per train. Well, on the ride, the first half is very heavily themed with raptors and rock work. The second half lacks in the theming as you escape the raptor paddock. Now that I finished explaining the stats and the theming of the ride, I'm going to be talking about my experience as well as the layout of this amazing Intamin coaster. You start off this layout with a very long turn into the first launch track. You pause for a second at the end of this launch track while Velociraptors are on either side of you getting very angry, and then the lights turn red and you launch. This launch is not very intense as it goes from 0 to 50 miles an hour in 2 seconds. It really doesn't have too much of a kick to it, but it's still pretty enjoyable. After this launch, you enter your first inversion, which is an Immelman. This inversion is not too intense, however, the exit in the back row is a pretty good airtime pop. While you are still in the air from this inversion, you are immediately met with one of the best head choppers in the ride with this little rock sculpture right here.
Alright, I just want to give a little disclaimer. So I gave up about halfway through this video, and I decided to resume it now, about a year later. And, well, I've grown up a little bit, and my voice has changed, so I might sound a little bit different for the rest of this video. Next up, you enter a dive loop with a sharp pop of airtime before diving down back towards the ground. The rest of this first part of the layout includes a lot of different turns and airtime pops before you hit the second booster launch. This launch is surprisingly powerful as it accelerates you to 70 miles an hour and up the massive top hat. While towards the front, the top hat is not that impressive because of the brake on the top. This coaster has some very long trains, so if you're in the back car, it gives you some amazing airtime. You make a quick turn and enter the ride's third inversion, which is a wonderful 0G stall. This stall is nothing too crazy as it is not too long and doesn't give the best hang time in the world. However, it's still a great moment. Next up, you turn into this wave turn, which gives you a sharp pop of airtime. I still think that I prefer the wave turn on Steel Vengeance. However, this one is very good. Next, you twist up into this outer banked airtime pop. This gives some decent ejector airtime, but nothing too crazy. You make a sharp turn right under the wave turn and then into the grand finale of the ride. This starts off with the airtime pop into the amazing Mosasaurus roll. This roll is filled with some amazing airtime and laterals. You are just getting thrown out of your seat throughout the entire thing and you are right over the water. However, the ride is not done yet. This is where it gives you two of some of the best airtime on the entire ride. This sharp twisting airtime is probably the best moment of ejector on the ride, and then it also hits you with a great twisting moment into the final brake run. As I mentioned earlier, I had a big break in the time of making this video, and during that break, I went back to Cedar Point. After getting rides on Steel Vengeance and Maverick, I realized that those rides, they both do things better than Velocicoaster does them. For example, Maverick's second launch is way more out of control, and I personally like it way more than Velocicoaster's. Not to mention Steel Vengeance just has the most insane ejector airtime, and Velocicoaster just does not compete in that category. So I know at the beginning of this video I said that Velocicoaster was my number one. I personally like Steel Vengeance better now, but Velocicoaster is still number two and is definitely still a world-class ride. In conclusion, Velocicoaster is definitely worth making your way all the way down to Orlando and is absolutely worth going to Universal alone just for that ride. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.